Okay, these servants that are thinking they're celebrities or they were celebrities and they are still filming films and filming TV shows. Um, what is their concept of what has been going on the planet the past 9 years? Are they unaware of servants who want to get rid of the monetary system? Um, I know personally, uh, I have typed for 6.5 years. I was all over the internet on Facebook and Twitter, uh, very specifically um, things about Almighty God's book, um, things about the vaccines, things about my children being kidnapped. Um, so, are they having cognitive issues or some sort of explaining to us their reality right now would be fantastic. Um, their concept of what happens to people when they pass on. Do they go somewhere? Um, who would they be meeting upon going to another place? Um, on this land here, um, there is nowhere to go where you are not going to have to face me. This land is actually my land that my family lives upon. Okay, and we have a certain way of living here. And when we have all of the suffering going on, we do not just continue going about our business. Um, Sometimes a little bit of not really understanding what is going on is acceptable, but it's been 9 years, okay? So in a nice way, um, is there ever a thought yet as to why um, you would keep being printed out money and other people are not having that experience or are not seeking that any longer? Um, what are the thoughts regarding the people with the drugs or the foreclosures that took place after 2008? Um, are those people unlucky? Did they overextend somehow to which their houses were just foreclosed on for non-payment? Um, how is that registering in their minds in terms of um, the reality? Um, this family, the Kardashians, that did some sort of a reality program, okay, and were contacted by us and continued to film a show and reportedly making some $10 million a season doing that show. Was there ever a thought in their minds that anything seemed odd about that? That why, when they do not actually work, not even they pretend work here, would they be getting that much money? Um, I know myself, even at um, Al's income, that I began to just be sort of like, it's a little bit odd that he's making that kind of money. And in my mind, which I now consider to be sort of a delusional sort of thought process, was that because I was home raising my children and not working, that somehow we were being blessed with that amount of money, which was not in the millions of dollars, by the way. Um, so I'm wondering if they ever have sort of those kind of delusional thoughts where God blesses people with money for some reason. Um, I will say this, that I'm very, very grateful that at such a sort of early time in my children's lives that this has happened. That to me, I think myself personally, that if my children grew up and were adults and had, you know, just a plethora of emotional problems, or seemed sort of psychopathic to me, and uncaring towards others, that I would be regretting sort of not doing things to teach them otherwise at a younger age. Um, have they seen any of the videos of some of the mega super rich and powerful children? To me, they seem delusional, that a psychiatrist would actually diagnose them as paranoid and delusional and narcissistic. Because when we have parents that are mass murderers, okay, and wage war and play games with people's lives, and we continue to think that our parents are perfect, and we speak their jargon that is clearly paranoid and delusional, we can't get well. Okay, that's a facet of narcissism where you have to have perfect parents, because if you don't have perfect parents, you have to find fault within yourself, which a narcissist has a great difficulty doing. I'm not sure exactly some of these people's background, if they grew up in the quote-unquote American poverty, which is not poor, by the way, and thought that just masses of money would be being good parents, or if they were brought up with money and sort of just didn't realize that other people didn't have that, or weren't actually somehow earning money. I mean, to some degree, I can understand if someone is a doctor and someone else is choosing to um, have children out of wedlock and live in public housing, and that you sort of go, all right, well, that person, went to school and they're a doctor and such. But when people are acting in plays and on television shows and being given millions and millions of dollars, okay, and other people are working cash registers 50 hours a week, 85 hours a week at Disney World. I've witnessed that. Um, being on your feet that many hours a day in the heat. Um, how that um, doesn't in the mind ever, you know, why is this going on? Why is this so weird? Like, are they aware now that they were on a lesson and that was being done to see how far they would go with it? Why would that be important for them to be doing that? I guess I am sort of always wanting to not become wiser, but just sort of try to be and do the things that my father wants me to do. I That's a very important thing to me. I also would want to instill within my children tools that actually help them be quote unquote good people and be happy. Um, I've never actually believed that money makes people happy, at least this time, because of all of the other times I've been around and done various lessons. Um, I've seen people with globs of money that are obviously miserable. I've seen people that don't have globs of money that are obviously miserable. So I don't really equate that with happiness. Um, I think in my life that there comes a point where it's sort of like, how much of this stuff do you need? And a realization at that level that when you have these separate neighborhoods that you move into by your wealth tier, that there is always going to be someone who has more than you do. Because it becomes, to me, it's like your reality sort of changes when you are living in an area where you had to buy into that. And that sort of becomes your reality as to your peers, or how people are living. Also, I think what has sort of negatively affected me this time is that knowing people who have plenty of needs, okay, but they just are very frivolous with their money, and sort of people's lives in shambles, and it's everything is money. It's the money is the fault. The money is the fault, and sort of people that are happy because they have money, even when they themselves have enough money to live on, and also chose certain life paths where they wouldn't have, you know, that level of income. So, I guess what I'm getting at is, um, what are your thoughts, the people with all of this money? What are your thoughts on um, people who did not, when asked, just stop and give up all of that? Um, I would like to believe that there are people who had, wealth that I couldn't even imagine in my mind, that just gave that up because, in sort of, I don't know, secret, they really, that they knew that was not really important to them. Okay? And then we have people who, this is what really baffles me. We have people here who, by the American royalty sitting on top of the entire planet standards, don't have anything. And they still refuse to stop. Um, I would have expected, you know, before the past 6 years of pondering, um, people who didn't own houses to go, yeah, this is fantastic. Let's, everybody stop and everybody be free and everybody be equal. And it just appears that didn't happen. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting a wrong view of what's going on in the other places, but how do we have more than half of a country not pretend working, and yet there are so many cars driving around? Um, I would think that if those people had done as we did, that this would have ended at that moment, because there would be nobody working cash registers, there would be no cars, nobody would be able to sell anything. Um, this, I guess, sort of harkens back to what we were discussing with the OJ topic in terms of um, people who maybe think they are poor having some sort of a resentment and hatred for people who they thought were rich. Um, that is, I guess, I don't know if it's hurtful or just anger on my part as to, um, if you did not go to school and you did not work, and you had children out of wedlock, and you played the system, and you got into public housing, and you've just been collecting benefits, and even having cars, which when I was growing up, you could not do that and be on welfare. So that's a new thing. I don't know who came up with that, but they weren't very bright. Okay? And when people were having their homes foreclosed and people were committing suicide and murdering their own families, why did you not go, oh my God, this is horrific, something's got to be done about this? I mean, am I just getting an inaccurate idea of who the people are who have been doing this Occupy and Anonymous and giving up their things and wanting to change? From my eye view that I'm getting here, it's pretty disgusting, I have to say. It's really pretty disgusting that almost as if it's an enjoyment of people who are not the Kardashians, are not James Franco, are not the Cheneys and the Bushes, are not I don't know, who is someone who has a lot of money. Uh, we are not those people, okay? So it's sort of, there's resentment there that's gonna have to be discussed and dealt with. And it's not about ethnicity, which we're getting a lot of, this stuff on the TV about Black Lives Matter and trying to bring out that people are bigots and things like that. I really don't think it's exactly that. I think it's something to do with sadism towards people who had intact families and people that went to school and college and owned homes, and sort of not them really not looking at themselves and their lives and their life choices, that if they did not have something that they thought that they deserved somehow, how is that the fault of the middle class? Um, Clearly, the rich were not ravished by this 2008 debacle. It was the middle class people who did not come from wealthy families. So, when people are sort of, some might call Christian, and they're very traditional and they have traditional values, and some of them work their butt off to own a home, um, would they be the people that would be reading book and giving up those things? And would they actually attack you, or would they become so hurt that they would be turning to these drugs to try to control an anger that they don't really want to feel, that they don't feel is acceptable within themselves to be feeling towards other people? Um, I know myself that I don't do drugs, but I do smoke cigars. I was smoking cigarettes at first and quit that for about 2.5 years until last summer, when, as I stated previously, again, I was shocked by people's sociopathy and sometimes psychopathy, and sort of still, we're not just screwed up family. We are people that are also hurting here. So, I guess maybe more topics about these people that have been living on the quote-unquote welfare, okay, that was set up for whom? Okay, that was set up for widows of soldiers that died in wars, so that they would not end up sort of like in a situation I'm in, and they're not prostitutes on the street, and their children are not, begging on the streets for food. It was not exactly set up as a way of life for people to not work. Now, I've stated this in writing before too. If you are against a system, okay, and you're not getting married on purpose because you don't believe in the money and the government and all of that, you would not be sending your children to public schools, and you would not be driving around, you would not have your cell phones, okay? You would be like hobby homeschoolers, sewing and things. That's what you would be doing. And you wouldn't have children just running amok on the streets and not going to college and not really doing anything with themselves. So I think that's something that people need to face in order to have some correction here. It's not where people are judging you or trying to make you feel bad about yourself, or we think you're better we are better than you are, or anything of that sort. We have done this process ourselves. We are far from perfect, okay? But if you have not sat, that means that something is going on in your psychology where somehow you don't have to sit, where there have been people sitting for 9 and 10 years all over this planet. Um, so if it, when the quote unquote lights go out and the gasoline shuts off, that's another big issue, okay? Some people, because of a misunderstanding about reality and what was going on here, um, have really alienated people. Um, I have had people, okay, speak to me as if I'm a servant, talk to me as if I'm a child, yell at me that I'm a scumbag, and just, I mean, it's been quite a 6.5 years. Um, the Oh yes, I've heard that I think I'm better than everyone, and um, just various other things. That those are things within yourselves. Something is going on within yourselves because I've taken my life walk, I've scanned my brain uh, probably 4,000 times trying to figure out what it is that you think I've done to you that caused that sort of reaction. Um, I think being stuck in a previous isn't really explaining that fully, in my opinion. And if someone is that stuck in a previous, they need to see a psychiatrist. Um, Not just keep going about, wherever the counsel is coming from that is not a psychiatrist's office. Um, I've gone over what's gone on with, I call her Victoria because I'm trying to maintain her privacy to some extent. But in recovery and in life, you cannot tell other people that they cannot talk about you when you are affecting their lives, in particular day to day. Um, that is a big no no in recovery. If we don't want people to talk about us in a negative way, then we could think about how we're treating them. Um, and keeping mental health appointments, things like that. Um, some things in life are not really going to be able to be repaired, and that's why the demands for the housing. I have sat wondering how long it's going to take a population to feel any amount of compassion. Okay. Um, is there something in you people's background, and by you people, I mean 320 million people in this pretend country who so far cannot produce one housing unit in order to house me? Okay? Is there something in your background that is causing you to not be able to feel any compassion for me? Now, in terms of grandiosity, is it grandiose for a person to keep demanding that you explain to her why you haven't housed me? Have you seen the debt clock and how much money has been printed out to you? Okay. Um, what sort of lesson is that? Because that is not even, I somehow demanded that you not use money. Okay? That's 6.5 years of you being printed money and me sitting here and you not being able to produce one house, one condo, one hotel room. Okay? Knowing that I had to flee for my life and my children were left with my husband who refuses to divorce me. Okay, knowing that because I've told you that countless times all over the internet. Okay, so knowing that and that those children cannot actually make a choice, whatever you're telling yourselves in your minds, okay, those 6 children who were all minors in 2011 could not make a choice because I have nowhere to live and I cannot bring them here, as explained to you repeatedly why that couldn't happen. Now, have you people had your children taken away for because you wanted a divorce? Okay. Or do you have children and housing and incomes and cars and gas and just do 6.5 years? Okay, and now you want to be living upon my land? How would you live upon my land, okay, with my family, as you still continue to ignore us? Are you still in some sort of a delusion where this isn't my land? Okay, who are the children that you think that were kidnapped? Who are you holding in prisons that are farming your food for you and making your products for you as you keep ignoring us? You were told repeatedly that the government will not give me housing. The government will not give me SSI. The government will not give me a telephone. Okay? How many years will you keep going, well, she should have done this, and you just hire a lawyer? And the FBI came to this house and told me to stop writing letters. Okay? The Social Security office in Quincy, Massachusetts tried to not give me a copy of my Social Security card. Okay? A person cannot work here, cannot apply for things without that. Now, why would all of that be going on? 320 million citizens of the world. Why would that be going on? In your reality, what is that? The government's crazy. I'm not telling you something. I'm in a coma. Anything else? Or just keep, it has nothing to do with me.